Hello dear students. Today we are going to do ninth part of the lecture series, and the chapter is chapter 7, alternating current. In the last part of the video lecture, we have done about quality factor, and then after we have done power, average power, and we have calculated LC oscillations. We have analyzed LC oscillations analytically also. So today the last topic of the chapter is transformer. This is going to be the last lecture theoretically. Then after I will start chapter number 8. Transformer. Let us see what this topic is all about. So what is a transformer? It is a device which converts a high voltage alternating current, high alternating voltage, let me write high alternating voltage, high alternating voltage into low alternating voltage, or vice versa. Simply means that it is a device which converts a high alternating voltage into a low alternating voltage. Okay, so whatever you must have heard transformer also. In our locality there is a particular place where the power corporation establish a transformer. Okay, that transformer does what? It converts a high alternating voltage into low alternating voltage, or a low alternating voltage into high alternating voltage. The transformer which converts high alternate voltage to low alternate voltage, that transformer is called high to low. So that transformer is called step down transformer. Okay, step down transformer. And if it converts low alternating voltage into high alternating voltage, then it is called step up transformer. Very easy to remember. Low to high, up, high to low, down. If it converts high alternating voltage into low alternating voltage, so it is called step down transformer. If it converts low alternating voltage into high alternating voltage, then it is called step up transformer. Okay, so now how this transformer works? What is the principle of it? Transformer works on the principle of mutual induction. And what is mutual induction? If you remember, we have done in the last chapter number 6, whenever there is a change in current in a coil, then there is an induced EMF in the secondary coil. Secondary coil is its neighboring coil. So this is what the mutual induction is, and this is the working principle of a transformer. Okay, what are the type of transformer we see? The type of transformers, there are two types. One is on the basis of use, and other on the basis of construction. On the basis of construction, there are two types. One is called core type transformer, and another one is called shell type transformer. What is core type? What is shell type? So first of all, core type transformer. Core type transformer. What is that? Core type transformer. So basically, there is an iron core. Okay, there is an iron core, and it is a, you can say, rectangular thin plate, and so many plates which are adjusted side by side, right? Which are adjusted side by side. So many plates are there. Like this, and this is an iron core, and the coil is wound over it. One coil is wound over this side, which is our primary coil, and one coil is wound over on this side, which is our secondary coil. Secondary coil. When the current is flowing through the primary coil, then the EMF whatever passes through this inductor, the same, EMF I have told, the magnetic flux which is passes through this inductor, the same magnetic flux passes through the other one also. This black line represents magnetic flux, and so many other magnetic field lines are also there. So magnetic flux of one link with the other. This is what? This is core type transformer. Another transformer is shell type transformer. Shell type. What this type is? Again, so many thin sheets are there, okay? But the sheets have some hole. One hole this side, another hole this side. Okay, this is the material. Again, soft iron we use. Okay, so this is all material. Here, two sides, there is a hole. Is it clear? Now, how the wires are wound? The primary coil is wound like this. Here we have primary coil, and the secondary coil is wound over here. And here we have secondary coil. Okay, this is your secondary coil, this is your primary coil. So this is called shell type transformer. In the shell type transformer, there is less chance of flux leakage. Okay, because all the flux of primary links with the secondary. So this is how the transformer looks like. But when we make it symbolically in a circuit, then we make it like this. It is primary coil, okay, and the secondary coil is made like this, across which the appliance is loaded. And for this showing the core, this is the secondary coil. For showing the core, we draw parallel lines over here. Okay, so this is the symbol of transformer in a circuit. In a circuit, transformer is shown like this, but in real practice, it is like this. Okay, so this is how the transformer looks like. Now let us understand its theory. Let us understand its theory. How it works, what are the mathematical equations we have. Let us understand. So, I am going to take induced EMF in the primary coil. So it is given by E1 is equal to minus L1 d phi, minus N1 d phi b by dt. I am not using the equation E is equal to minus L di by dt because EMF will be induced due to its self-induction as well as mutual induction also. Okay, and that's why I am taking E is equal to minus d phi b by dt. Why I have used N? Because number of turns also it will depend. Okay, more the number of turns, more the flux linkage. Okay, and this EMF will be induced due to self as well as mutual induction. Same goes with the secondary. In the secondary coil, so E2 is equal to minus N2 d5 by dt. If you see, I have taken the rate of change of magnetic flux to the both of the coils same, d5 by dt, d5 by dt. Why is it so? Because we assume that there is no flux loss. Okay, there is no linkage loss. All the flux of the primary links with the secondary, and all the flux of the secondary links with the primary. We assume that, although it is not correct, and that's why when we write the limitations of a transformer, then we mention this also. Moreover, for primary coil, the source EMF plus EMF induced, all these EMF will be lost against what? There is no resistance we have applied, so it will be 0. The source EMF, let us take it E, and the induced EMF, all we know that it is minus N1, or we have taken it E1 as plus E1 is equal to 0, or E is equal to minus E1. Okay, so basically the source EMF and the induced EMF in magnitude, they are going to be equal. Okay, so E1 can be considered as our input voltage and E2 can be considered as our output voltage. So if we take the ratio of E2 upon E1, then d5 by dt will be cancelled out, and we are going to have N2 upon N1. So from here it is very much clear that if we want to step up the voltage, then for step up transformer, what we need to do? E2 must be greater than E1, which implies that N2 must be greater than N1. Means number of turns in the secondary coil must be greater than the number of turns in the primary coil. And for step down transformer, E2 is less than E1, output voltage is less than input voltage, and for that case N2 is less than N1. It simply means that number of turns in the secondary coil is less than that of in the primary coil. So this is the principle, and that's why this ratio N2 upon N1, it is called transformation ratio. It tells us about which transformer is of what type. Is it step up or is it step down? If N2 upon N1 is greater than 1, then it is step up transformer. If N2 upon N1 is less than 1, then it is step down transformer. Okay. Moreover, we assume that there is no power loss. If we assume if there is no power loss, then power output must be equal to power input. What power we give, the same power we'll have in output. So power output is given by E2 upon E2 I2, and power input is E1 I1. Power is equal to V into I. There is nothing new for you. From here, if we calculate E2 upon E1, it comes out to be I1 upon I2, which is already equal to N2 upon N1. From here, if you can see that EMF is inversely proportional to current. EMF is inversely proportional to current. And from here it is clear that if step-up transformer increases the voltage, okay, less input voltage, high output voltage, then it actually step downs the current. So the complete statement will be like, for a step-up transformer, let me write this side. If you want to note down, pause the screen and note down. So let me write this side. For a step-up transformer, E2 upon E1 is equal to I1 upon I2 must be greater than 1. Okay, in that case E2 will be greater than 1. So from here one more thing you can achieve, that I1 is greater than I2. So it simply says that the step-up transformer increases the voltage. Increases the voltage can be a wrong term. Okay, it cannot increase, it only transforms. So I should write a step-up transformer converts low alternate voltage but high alternate current into low alternate voltage is converted into high alternate voltage but low alternating current. So the complete statement is not like that. A step-up transformer converts a low alternate voltage into high alternate voltage. This complete statement is a step-up transformer converts low alternate voltage, high alternate current into a high alternate voltage and low alternate current. Just if you can see, low alternate voltage is converted into high alternate voltage, but at the same time that current is converted into low. Same goes for step down transformer. Step down. Okay, what it does? E2 upon E1 is equal to I1 upon I2 is less than which implies that I1 is less than I2. Okay, I1 is less than I2. Is it clear? So what it does? So it converts, what a step down transformer does? It converts high alternate voltage, low alternate current into high alternate voltage is converted into low alternate voltage, but at the same time low AC is converted into high AC. Is it clear? So this is how the transformer works. Transformer does not increases the voltage, it transforms the voltage. You can say converts the voltage, but increases the voltage would be a wrong statement. Was it clear? But in real practice what happens? This input power and output power, they are not equal. And when they are not equal, then what we do? We calculate efficiency of transformer. Efficiency of transformer. And that efficiency is given by eta, which is equal to output power upon input power multiply by 100. If you want to calculate in percentage, if you want to calculate it in fraction, then out of 100 will not be there. Okay, a very good transformer is having a percentage efficiency above 90. Okay, a very good transformer, what we can make is having an efficiency of above 90 plus, but it cannot be 100. It cannot be 100. 100 is quite ideal and we cannot achieve that. Is it clear? So this is about transformer, but there is some power loss also. Okay, why is it cannot be 100? So there are some reasons, and let us discuss the reasons one by one. Let us discuss power loss. Power loss in transformers. Power loss in transformer. The first one is copper loss. What is copper loss? Ideally, inductors are made, the coils are made built by thick copper wires. Thick copper wires are taken to avoid the resistance, but we cannot take the resistance of the wires to be zero, and that's why the copper wire have some resistance. Across that resistance, the amount of heat is being lost, and that loss is called copper loss. How it can be minimized? We cannot make it zero. We cannot take a perfect conductor. There must be some resistance, and if resistance is there must be the heat loss, and that is called copper loss. How this copper loss can be minimized? We can take thick copper wires. We can take wires which is of less resistance, but we cannot make it zero. The second loss is flux leakage loss. Flux leakage. As I have told you, while beginning of the derivation, while beginning of the theory only, that it is assumed that the flux of primary coil, all the flux of primary link with the secondary, and all the flux of the secondary links with the primary. But it is not true. There is some flux which is not linked, and because of that, there are some power loss which is called flux leakage loss. How this can be minimized? By wounding the wires over one another. In this manner, the linkage of flux can be maximum. The third one. The third loss is eddy current loss. Eddy current loss. What is eddy current? We have done in the last chapter. Eddy currents are the current which generates over the surfaces of conductor when they are kept in a changing magnetic field. So the core of the transformer, on the core of the transformer, copper wires are there. In those copper wires, alternating current is flowing. Alternating current keeps on changing, and if current keeps on changing, then the magnetic field due to that current also keeps on changing. And if the magnetic field keeps on changing, then eddy currents are generated over the core of the transformer. And because of that, the core of the transformer gets heated. Sometimes this temperature, this rise of heat is so much that it damages the insulation of copper coil also. So how this can be minimized? So whether instead of taking a solid core, we take laminated core, so as to minimize the eddy current. The fourth one is hysteresis loss. Hysteresis, earlier it was there in your syllabus, but now it is not there. When the current flows through the copper wire, and copper wire is wound over the core, then what happens? The magnetic field of that alternating current magnetizes the core, and when that current becomes zero, the core demagnetizes itself. So when the current increases, magnetization of core takes place. When current decreases, then demagnetization of core takes place. So magnetization and demagnetization, this process takes some energy, takes some power, and the power used in that will be wastage. Okay, it is of no use. The magnetization and demagnetization of core is of our no use. Okay, but again, we cannot ignore it. Some power loss is there because of magnetization and demagnetization of the core. How it can be minimized? We can take such materials which do not magnetizes or demagnetizes. Now the question arises, sir, can we take insulators? The answer is no. Why is it so? Because if you take such materials which do not support the magnetic field, then the flux leakage will be maximum. So you have to take such materials which supports the magnetic field, and such materials are soft irons. Now with the soft iron, this problem persists. Okay, hysteresis loss. but this hysteresis loss is not that much, so we can avoid it. Okay, so we can avoid it. Now fifth one is humming loss. You must have noticed while moving nearby a transformer that there is a continuous sound of humming. There is a continuous sound of humming. So this sound also takes some energy from the input power, and that sound is of no use. And why this sound comes? Actually, what happens when the coil wound over a solar core, when the current increases, the length of the solenoid, the length of the core decreases, and when current becomes zero, the length increases. So because of this shrinkage in length and expansion in length, the core starts vibrating, and because of that vibration, the humming sound produces. So this humming sound is also of our no use, and it creates some power loss. We cannot minimize it also. It will happen. So because of these reasons, we cannot achieve that 100% efficiency of transformer. Okay? Out of these 5, you must write 3 at least in the examination. Okay? So I'll suggest copper, flux, eddy current because it is there in your syllabus. So you must write all these 3. Okay? So for me, this chapter is over. Okay? Theoretically. Tomorrow we are going to solve some numericals of this chapter, and then day after tomorrow, I'll start electromagnetic wave. This is all for the day. Thank you.